Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about a paper written by Schlumberger over primary infill well production comparisons in the Midland and the Delaware Basins. Before we get to the content, please be sure to like this video, subscribe so you can get more content in oil and gas and professional development topics, and please be sure to comment on the videos so I can incorporate your feedback into future videos. Be sure to hit that notification bell whenever you subscribe, as I upload every Friday and every Sunday. Every Friday is a professional development topic, and every Sunday is a technical review, such as this video. Well, let's continue with the content. Hey everyone, so today I'm going to talk about the Permian Basin production performance comparison over time and the parent-child study. This is written by quite a few authors from Schlumberger, such as Tao Xu, Wei Zhang, Jason Bailey, Priyank Dwivedi, Dan Shan, Randy Utek, and Grant Miller. I bolded the objective here. This is meant to generate decline trends for wells drilled in the Wolfbone and Wolfberry sequences in the Permian Basin, while also examining the changes in completion evolution and parent-child relationships. Horizontal wells were categorized based on which formation the laterals were landed in. Then, the moving window approach was used to identify parent and child wells in each major formation. Production performance and completion between the parent and child wells were compared by bench and completion over time. So they investigated the decline rate by applying the ratio of best 1 month production. Throughout the paper, it's recognized as B1, and the best consecutive months, B12, production rate in relation to parent and child spacing across respective formation layers. When we're discussing declines, there's going to be a term called B1 over B2, so please keep that in mind. Here are some of the plots just to whet the appetite as far as parent-child relationships in the Permian Basin, specifically Midland and Delaware Basin, and this is split up into two sub-basins. So here, this is actually a combination of the Permian Basin, so percentage of parent versus child horizontal wells and the number of new wells per month in the Midland Basin. So here your child wells that are increasing and the number of parent wells that are decreasing, but the new wells per month are increasing, showing that the number of wells that are increasing each month are child wells. And same goes for here, percentage of parent versus child horizontal wells and number of new wells per month in the Delaware Basin. So yes, these were split up into two. I take that back. And then this is average total proppant per lateral length in the best 3 consecutive months in both the Delaware and Midland Basins. This is the Midland Basin in orange, and the Delaware Basin is in blue. And this is proppant per lateral length. And this is also proppant per lateral length, which is significantly more, as there is a steeper incline in the Delaware Basin compared to the Midland Basin. There are quite a few assumptions in this paper. I do want to mention that only wells that had at least a 1-year gap in production start dates that occurred after the parent well were considered a child well. All the data was taken from the IHS public database. Allocated production data may be an issue for some wells with the use of public databases. Only horizontal wells were included in the study. Production practices such as control rate or drawdowns, artificial lift, flowback strategies are not discussed in the study. Similar geological and reservoir properties are assumed for each iteration. Only iterations where child and parent wells produced from the same formation are considered for parent and child well relationship study. All identified parent wells included in the study have at least 15 months of production history. Only wells with completion information that includes total proppant volume and lateral length reported in the public databases aren't included in the completion analysis. And only major formations are included in the parent-child relationship studies, such as Lower Sprayberry, Wolfcamp A, and Wolfcamp B for the Midland Basin. And for the Delaware Basin, you're looking at Avalon, First Bone Spring, Second Bone Spring, Third Bone Spring, Wolfcamp A, and Wolfcamp B. Wells located outside of these formations were not included in the study. Here's some of the summarizations for the workflow, and the paper goes much more into detail for this, but I thought I'd just summarize this for the sake of this presentation. You had a type curve analysis for production and completion, binning for Midland and Delaware Basins, and they were normalized by lateral length. You have parent and child well performance comparisons, and yet completion and production analysis grouped by well spacing and proppant loading to investigate the type of decline rates. Here are some of the results from the Midland Basin. So the rest of these slides are going to be results. If you look at the figure on the left, you have Midland Basin child parent for the best 1 month production grouped by well spacing. Over here at 800 well spacing, you're looking at sometimes the child well is better, where most of the time the parent well is better. As the spacings get larger and larger, you'll notice that the child well subsequently gets better. Over here, there's Midland Basin child well parent normalized B1 production grouped by well spacing. So this is the same story over here, in which the child well slightly gets better at more than 1,600 foot spacing compared to the parent well. So that's oil production. Here's a cumulative distribution plot, or your CDF, of the best BOE difference between the parent and child well in the Midland Basin. You're looking at a P50 of slightly over 0 in that group 2. And then here's the Midland Basin P40 to P60 child and parent with the B1 over B12 decline group by well spacing. So you'll notice over here that the declines are a little bit steeper for the parent well and not as much for the child well. But the declines slightly get shallower as you space those wells a little bit wider for the parent well. The rest of these plots are more results, where the top left is the P10 child and the B1 to B12 decline group by well spacing. Obviously, the larger the spacing you have, the better the child well is going to be. And then your bottom left, your P90 child and parent B1 to B12 decline group by well spacing. Larger your spacing, your child well had an increased chance of occurrence of a fast decline. Your top right, you have a Midland Basin child and parent well of 12-month cum production by well spacing. And you'll have some results here that as your spacing gets a little bit wider, so does your child well production gets better. And then your last one is your pretty much the results that you want to focus on is the Midland Basin child and parent 12-month cumulative production normalized by total proppant and lateral length grouped by well spacing. So normalized by lateral length, and with the proppant, you're still looking at your parent well being better at larger spacing. Now here are some of the results for the Delaware Basin, where you have your child and parent well normalized B1 production group by well spacing. This one is a little bit more mixed in the results, where you have a 50-50 chance of your child well being better than your parent. And then your second plot is your Delaware Basin child and parent well normalized B1 production, so your oil production group by well spacing. Here is where your parent well is better, most likely. Here's some more results with your CDF on your top left corner, and then your P40 to P60 on your bottom left. So your P40 to P60 wells, your parent well is most likely to have a fast decline. And then your P10 wells on your top right, your parent well is most likely to have a fast decline. And your P90 child and parent wells, your child well is most likely to have your fast decline at larger spacing. Similar plots to that of the Midland Basin over here, where you have your P10 child and parent B1 to B12 decline group by well spacing. This is where your parent well most likely has the faster decline. And then you have your Delaware Basin P90 child and parent B1 to B12 decline group by well spacing, or your child well most likely has a fast decline. And then your top right, your Delaware Basin child and parent well 12-month cum production group by well spacing. You have your child well most likely to be better at larger spacing. So if you skip a lane, for instance, your child well is most likely to be better. And then you have your Delaware Basin child and parent well, 12-month cum production normalized by total proppant and lateral length grouped by well spacing. You have a similar story to that of the Midland Basin, to where your parent well is most likely to be better, but the chances of your child well slightly increase. The rest of these slides are your summary and observations, and there are quite a few, so I'll walk them through and I'll read these. Your average total proppant volume per lateral length has been increased from 900 to 1900 from 2012 to 2018 for the Midland Basin. Delaware Basin, it's 500 to 2400. Annual effective BOE decline rate is about 60 to 70% for both basins. In the Midland Basin, there are no obvious differences in the decline rate across all three formations. The Delaware Basin, your Wolfcamp A and B, have slightly lower annual effective decline rates in the Avalon, the First Bone Spring, Second Bone Spring, and Third Bone Spring formations. For both Midland and Delaware, 30-year BOE forecast increases with the amount of proppant per lateral length increases, regardless whether if it's a parent or a child. So this goes back to the thought where, from a static assumption, if your well is going to be better based on better proppant, then regardless of the circumstances, whether if it's a parent or a child, it will still be better. The question is whether if you want to make that additional investment in a child well with more proppant. In the Midland Basin, the three formations analyzed have similar 30-year EURs. In the Delaware Basin, the Wolfcamp A and B have the highest 30-year EUR over time for all formations and basins analyzed. In Wolfcamp A and B, in the Delaware Basin, they have higher 30-year EUR forecast by 30 to 40% when compared to the Wolfcamp A and B in the Midland Basin. Child wells had more proppant and fluid volume pumped than the parent wells. In general, for wells drilled in recent years, lateral length drilled has increased along with the treatment volume that was pumped from both the fluid and proppant amount on a per unit lateral length basis. In a basin level, the child well best month production underperforms the parent well in a tight well spacing, so below 800 feet. At larger well spacing, the performance improves and the child well's production more often than not can exceed the parent well. This trend applies to both the Midland and Delaware Basin, with some variations. Child and parent wells decline is impacted by each well's initial production rate and length of production history. At similar initial production rates, child well's decline rate tends to be higher at a tight well spacing and becomes smaller as the well spacing increases from the Midland Basin. In the Delaware Basin, the parent wells have a faster decline trend than the child wells. This is where the child well is not achieving highs in IP as the parent, or that the longer drilling lengths and larger stimulation treatments are succeeding in maintaining better improved wellbore connectivity to the formation or the production allocation issue. There's quite a bit of text here. I'll try to summarize this as best as I can. At a child well's cum production trends, they tend to be smaller than that of the parent wells at tight well spacings. At large well spacing, the child well outperforms the parent well. When the cum production is normalized to the total proppant pumped at lateral length, child well underperforms the parent well across all formations, demonstrates that both well spacing and pressure depletion and completion design are key drivers impacting child well production. Well spacing tends to impact the child well production bases in both basins, and we've seen that in the results. The child well tends to improve more as the spacing distance to the parent increases. At the 800 and 1200 foot spacing threshold, the chances that a child well's production is better than the parent becomes greater, so that's better than the 50% chance. The same effects are observed for the best month production as well. And finally, for both basins, they show depletion effects caused by parent wells when both the parent and child wells are normalized. Delaware Basin shows a slightly higher impact of depletion on results than in the Midland Basin. So this tends to talk about some of the intuitive conclusions when it comes to primary and infill wells. When you space these wells a little bit wider, you have a less chance of having your child well degrading as much. And then with better completions, your child well tends to be better than expected. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this presentation. As always, please be sure to like this video, subscribe for more content in oil and gas and professional development topics, And be sure to comment on the video so I can incorporate your feedback into future videos. Be sure to follow me on the social media platforms that I displayed over here. I'm pretty consistent in my social media platforms in terms of names. YogashriPradhan is the name for my LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Feel free to search on my platforms and ask me any questions you desire. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next video.